And we can go ahead and get started.
Yeah.
2, 1. Attackers incoming. Escort the payload.
Yeah, so for the first little bit here, I'm just gonna be taking a look at
Cool.
what we're working with.
This was a bit ago where I was like pretty bad, but I was still okay. That wasn't really that good. I got like 18 elims I think this game, so not that much.
Alrighty, so the first thing we're gonna go over with Widowmaker, is kind of how often you should be kind of shooting, because her shots do have a charge up time, and when we're
Yeah.
shooting somebody after charging it up for only to 10%, let's say 20%, 30%, then we're only doing that much damage to people, right? And we're not
Yes.
actually doing a whole lot, and it's going to take us multiple shots to kill them. But why Widowmaker's a good character is because if we charge this up to about 65%, it might be 70 now, then we'll actually be able to one-shot people. So we want to be looking for that one-shot damage, and we'll be able to do a lot more damage when we're doing that. So make sure that we're not really tapping it, but we're charging it up. And you can practice that in the training range here. Is just make sure that you're using it when it's charged up to when they're gonna die in one shot, rather than just tapping people, right? Because that's not gonna really do a whole lot for you, especially up against tanks, right? So we want to make sure that we're charging this up. That way we can actually hit these shots. That makes sense?
Yep. Got it. Okay, that's good.
Alrighty, so the second thing we're gonna go over here real quick is crosshair placement, and I believe you both play DPS, so this should be something that applies to both of you. Um, but essentially, crosshair placement is where we place our crosshair, so that we can hit better shots. Right, we're placing a crosshair in the best place possible so that we can hit more shots. So you can think of it as we're using our brain to help our aim. So we take our crosshair, and the first major step of this is we want to make sure that we're placing this at head level. Now, of course, as I was just showing you, we can one-shot people if we're aiming headshots, but we can't do the same thing aiming body shots. So body shots do a lot less damage than headshots do. So we want to make sure that we're aiming for headshots most of the time. Now, if we're aiming down here, that means that to hit a headshot, we have to adjust up and to the left or up and to the right, which takes a lot more adjustment than going straight to the left or straight to the right. So because you're traveling more space, you're more likely to miss that shot because there's more distance that you have to travel with your crosshair. So it's going to be a harder of a shot than if we're already aiming at this head level, because then we just have to go left and right. So it makes it easier to land your shot. The other thing this does is it means that all your spam shots. So this is especially going to be useful in characters like Hanzo, who is a very spammy character. This means that you're already going to be lined up with headshots, so that when you're turning a corner, and you're spamming down a corner or something like that, all of these shots are just being headshots rather than just spamming down and all these shots being body shots, right? So on that same note, um, we want to be aiming at head level at doorways, at corners, right? Doorway, corners. So if we know that there's a bot in the top left, we pre-aim on the top left, right at never mind, he's going top right. We pre-aim at the top right, right at head level, a little bit away from the wall, and then when they turn the corner, he's just gonna walk straight into my crosshair, right? Oh, I'm actually had it a little too low there. We'll try that again, right? So I aimed right at head level. He's gonna walk straight into my crosshair, and now all I have to do is pretty much just click, right? So that's how you can place your crosshair in the best place possible. Okay, same thing. We know he's on the left, so I'm already aiming head level. I'm turning this corner, and my crosshair is pretty much already on top of him, right? Because I know he's there, so I'm turning with my crosshair already on top of him. Okay, here, I know that there's a slope there, so there's a little bit further down. Okay, they're not up here, so I'm aiming my crosshair a little bit downwards. I'm turning this corner, my crosshairs are pretty much already on top of him. Right, so that's how you can place your crosshair in a better position so that you can hit more shots. Alrighty, so we'll get back into that replay. So was that a quick play game or?
I think it was. It should be. Yeah.
Alright.
Arriving at watch point Gibraltar. Ready for battle.
Let's see. So, I guess, would you like to just
Attackers
go over the
incoming
first
in
full
30
game and then maybe go over it a second time, but from the other person's perspective?
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that works.
So more, let's skip back to where we were. So here you can see how we come up against we kill the Hanzo, and then we shoot at the D.Va. And right, let's look at these when we're shooting. We can look at the percentage. Oh, the elimination's covering it up, but we shoot at 60% that time. Let's see, shoot at 60% again. Okay, 62%. Right, you're gonna be getting, especially on tanks, you want to wait for that 100% because on tanks, you're not gonna be able to one-shot a tank. So on tanks, you want to just get that 100% power, and then that way you're doing your kind of max damage. Right, so there we did our max damage. So that was really good, but we're just kind of okay. And that is the situation where you do want to do the low powered shot because she was already low. So that half powered shot was good. But then here again, right, you can see like we just kind of tickled her and didn't really do any damage with that one because it was like a 10% shot.
My ultimate is ready. No one can hide.
Oh,
from
I like the
my
timing on that.
sight.
Very nice. Alrighty, so you kind of see this with our crosshair placement here. When we're turning these corners, so like look at where our crosshair's at, right?
Yeah.
So feet, right? Body level, right? We can see that we're not really lined up with the head level here. And this is especially apparent on the Hanzo because they are a little bit below us, so that's a little bit harder. But Hanzo, when we grapple up to Hanzo here, okay, now we're kind of on even level with him. But look at where our crosser's at, right? We're aiming at his chest. So that means that even if we do hit this shot that's hitting his chest, and that's not going to be a one shot. So now that he would die because he is half HP, but you can see just kind of where crosser's at, and that's going to make it harder for us to hit headshots. Okay, good flick there. Okay, so
Oh, yeah, that's bad.
SMGing. The only times that you want to be SMGing is if something's right on top of you, like right in your face, or if they're low HP. Right, if they're very very low, and you can use your SMG to finish them off. Or if they're right on top of you, you don't want to be scoping in because scoping in makes it very easy to kill you. Now, trying to SMG someone from here is not going to do a whole lot of damage, and you'll see here we're just going to pretty much tickle her, right? We're not going to do much with the SMG from that distance, and with that health that she has. And then again, you can see how we're kind of tap shooting again. So really make sure that we're focusing on those good habits of, don't SMG. And this is fine now because she's 1 HP, so we can SMG here. But make sure you're not tap firing when people are full HP. Okay, now that SMG is better, right? Because she's actually low that time.
For your safety, please move behind the barrier.
The power of destruction.
Team up for special attack.
Surrender to my will.
Alright, good job focusing the immortality field. Okay. Make sure that we're using our Venom Mine. I don't know if I've seen us get usage out of that yet. We can use Venom Mine to just kind of, whenever we grapple up somewhere, we can place it at our feet. That means that if somebody comes on top of us, they're easier to kill. So let's say D.Va dives on top of us, Hanzo climbs up to us, Bap jumps up to us, Reaper teleports up to us. That means that they're dying, twice as fast, so it's going to be easier to fend them off. We can toss it into the middle of the enemy team, and then that means that it makes some people we're able to see them through walls, which makes it easier to kill them, and it does some good decent damage. So just make sure we're looking to use that ability. And again, look at where Crosser's at. Right now, this is a little bit better, right? We adjusted upwards, but it's initially starting off at a bad position. Right, again, we're peaking at that. We're peaking down, and then we have to adjust up.
Go to sleep. My ultimate infrasight is ready.
Alrighty.
I need healing.
First off, there's a health pack right here, just for map awareness
Oh, yeah.
purposes. Second off, this might not be a situation where you want to be kind of shooting. So, big
Yeah, I
thing I
could have
want,
killed him and killed him.
yeah, the big thing I want you to pay attention to here is where your team's at, right? This is a very dangerous situation for you because the whole enemy team's here, but our team's all in spawn, right? So when we can see that based off of kill feed. We can see our teammates dying in kill feed. We can see our teammates dying on car. We can hear them dying, right? And when we see that we're the only ones left alive, we can't be making it easy for them to know we're here. So what we can do, make sure you're adding in a crouch, right? So when you crouch, that makes your footsteps quieter so people can't hear you. Make sure, here we're just kind of waltzing around. And then we also do peek before our team even gets back, right? So we're peeking right now to where they were starting to shoot, and we're starting to, at people when our team's still walking back, right? So we're peaking when we're at very low HP. We're peaking when we have 53 HP, right? So like one single shot from like anybody's pretty much gonna take us out. We're peaking when our team's not there yet, right? And when the whole enemy team can look at us. So this is a very dangerous situation for us to be peaking. So instead, what we wanted to be doing here is when we see that our whole team's dead, we can look to get out if we can. And if we don't think that we can get out, we want to let them kill us. And then that way we can just respawn with our team. That way you don't end up doing what's called staggering, because if we die here, which, oh, we end up getting him. But let's say we died there, right? That means that now we're going back into spawn when our team's all pushing in, right? Which means that they're pushing in without us. So that's not going to be very good, right? Them pushing in when they're down a person is going to be putting them at a disadvantage. So we kind of want to be grouped up with our team. That way we can go in at the same time as them. So by us staying in late here, that puts us at risk of doing what you call staggering, which means that we die late, and that's not going to be good for us or our team. So in this situation, whenever you see that your team's dying, which you can, the big thing is you want to watch that in kill feed. You can see, okay, my team's dead. I should be looking to get out, or if you can't get out, you want to look to die. Okay, so in this situation, we're just staying in, which is very risky for us.
I need heal me. I need healing.
For your safety, please move behind the barrier.
No one can hide from my sight.
Alrighty, so yep, again, we're kind of sitting at too low of an HP for too long. If you see that you're that low, drop to your teammates, right? You have a grapple to get back up. So don't be afraid to drop for them to heal you, because we don't want to be sitting that low of HP, because any little tap of anything is going to kill us, right? Because I think, or are we sitting? We're sitting at 25 HP, right? Any little bit of damage is going to kill us, so we can't. We want to make sure we're not sitting at low HP. So grab a health pack, look to get healed up by your other supports. So really, really important to make sure that you have health.
Rendez-vous avec la mort.
Oh, it's unfortunate. Alright, not much to say about that death.
Team up for special attack.
I like that we're keeping the high ground. That's good positioning on our part. Alrighty. Just not super aware of what's going on around us, make sure that we're paying attention because they do have a lot of people that can contest us, right? They have a Hanzo who can climb to us, Reaper can teleport to us, Diva can fly up to us, Bap can jump up to us, right? They have a lot that can contest us on these high grounds. So we really got to be careful. And when we know that they have those things, we need to be listening for them. We need to be check when we're grappling up to this high ground. What we can do is we can check real quick to check the high grounds, right? We just need to be aware of our surroundings so that we're not getting caught out. So awareness is very helpful because it allows you, when you have more information, you can make better decisions, right? When you don't have any information, then you can't make any good decisions. And how you get more information is you make sure to look around you rather than just kind of staring straight forward. Staring across there, we want to make sure that we're looking around, looking left, looking right, keeping our ears open, especially when we know that they have things that are going to be flanking us or contesting us. So here we die just because we're not paying attention to our surroundings.
No one can hide from my sight.
Okay, doing the tap firing, which now that's fine because he's 1 HP, but it wasn't fine the first couple of times, right?
Yep.
Also want to make sure we're aiming head level there. Alrighty, nice. So you can see how you aim head level here. Alright, so we finally have our crosshair aimed at his head. Alright, and that means that there's very little adjustment, right? And that makes it easier to get the kill.
This will heal you. Please move behind the body. Surrender to my will.
Okay, right now when we're this low, we want to make sure that we're either getting the health pack that's to the bottom, right? Or we're requesting healing so we can get healed up by our team. You don't want to stay this low again, right? Because then that just means that we're going to end up dying. That's not going to be very good for us. So the big thing here is just make sure we're requesting healing.
Yep.
Right, because then that happens and then we die, right? And the more you die, the less you can do, right? And dying's no fun. That's that's going to be one of the biggest ways that you can get better at the game is just dying less, because the less you're dying, the more you're doing. If, for example, let's say we'll just throw a number out there. Let's say you die 7 times a game, right? If we can lower that down to 4 times a game, that's 3 less deaths. Now, each death, right? We'll do some math here real quick. Each death is 10 seconds of spawn time, right? Or where you can't do anything, respawn time, and then about 5-10 seconds of walking back, depending on how close you are or your character speed. That means that roughly that's around 20 seconds per death that you don't exist, right? You're not doing anything. Now that means that if we can cut out 3 deaths per game and go from 7 deaths to 4 deaths, that means that we're saving a minute of game time, right? Imagine how much more you can be doing if you had an extra minute per game just to shoot at the enemy team, to get more ultimates, to just be alive for an extra minute. That's a ton of extra value, right? So if we can stay alive longer by paying attention to our health bar and requesting healing when we're low, then we're gonna be doing a lot more. And then obviously dying is no fun, like I said, because you can't do anything when you're dead. So staying alive longer is also just gonna be more fun in general. Um, so make sure that you're not just paying attention to your crosshair. This is again on the awareness note of looking around you. There's a lot of different things to look around that's not just your crosshair. You look at your abilities. You look at your I'm trying to figure out how to. You can't see my mouse. I forgot. You can look at your abilities. You look at your ammo. You look at the big ones are your health bar, the kill feed on the top right, how much time is left, how much ult charge do you have,
The payload has reached.
right? And then all those things add up to much better awareness. Good shot.
Of moderation is best.
The payload moves toward our desired outcome. Help me.
I require aid.
Team up for special attack.
Nerf this.
I see you.
This will restore you.
Alrighty. Again, make sure we're paying attention to their health bar, right? Sitting at 35 HP. Can't sit there for long. Okay. Never mind.
No one can hide from my sight.
Get into position.
Tranquility. Dragon consume you!
I needed that.
Yeah, well, kind of all the same kind of concepts apply here that we've been talking about with crosshair placement, right? Every time we're back around the corner, we're kind of resetting our crosshair, and we're really looking nowhere. Whereas what we should be doing is we back around the corner and line it up where we last saw his head at, so that when we peek the corner, we're aiming pretty much straight around his head. So there's a lot less adjustment here. Every time we're ducking around that corner, we're just making it harder on ourselves to readjust because we're not keeping our crosshair on his head, right? So we're almost done here. Yo. After we're done this, we'll do a quick, I guess, review of all the things that we were talking about, and then we'll move on to Devil's Eye.
It's high tide.
Probably should have got all the way there.
Yep. So yeah, that most like 75% of deaths you'll be able to improve from, right? You'll be able to take a look at the death and go, "Huh, why did I die there?" Right? And when you take a look at why you died and your mistakes, that's how you can start to improve and get better. Because you know when you start cutting out on deaths because you're going, "Oh wow, maybe I shouldn't have done that." So in the future, you're doing that less often, right? Um, so when you're dying, pay attention to how you died, why you died, and think about what you could have done differently. And then that's a way that you can just get better by yourself. Alright. Kree's not typically a character you want to try to get up right next to, right? He's a close range to a mid-range character. You're a long-range character. Think about the kind of when you're going up in a duel, right, a 1v1, you have to think about who has the advantage and who has the advantage, kind of, or who, like, which character's better at what, right? McCree has a better close range, you have a better long range. So if you keep the duel to a long range duel, you have the advantage. You're most likely going to win, right? Whereas he has the advantage if you try to go right up in his face. So don't attempt to go right up in his face. The same way you don't try to go up into a Reaper's face. You don't try to. What's going to happen if you try to run at a Reinhardt, right? Not going to go too well for you. So make sure we're trying to stay farther away and pay attention to the differences in the characters. Alrighty, so as a quick refresher before I guess we'll go over kind of what I think that you need to work on, right? So on Widowmaker, I didn't see you use one Venom Mine, so that's not
Yeah.
going to be the major issue, right? The Venom Mine's a pretty weak ability in comparison to other abilities in the game, but it's still an ability that needs to be used, and it does have value. So make sure you're looking to just use it pretty frequently. Just place it down at your feet. Make sure you can toss it into the enemy team. Place it behind you. Place it in front of you. Right? Just it can act as a kind of a it can let you know when for example, when that one time that Hanzo flanked on your left and got the headshot on you, if we place a Venomine there, that lets us know that he's there, right? It acts as like a tripwire. Gives a kind of an indication when people are coming to us, and lets us get away faster. Now, big thing, kind of going from category to category. I think your grapple usage is very good. Your ult usage is also very good. We'd had really good timing with it. Pretty much just anytime you get it and the fight's not won or lost, you want to be looking to use your ultimate. So you have good timing with your ult. Your general mechanics are pretty decent, but there are a lot of things that need to get worked on, especially crosshair placement, and make sure we're placing our crosshair in the right place, and making sure on top of that we're fully charging our shots, not like half charging them or quarter charging them, because then we'll actually do our max damage. So those two things are going to be very, very major in your gameplay. You really, really got to pay attention to your health a lot more, as a lot of the times we kind of don't really pay attention to it, and we sit at very low HPs, and that results in us dying a lot unnecessarily. Positioning, I like that you position on high grounds a lot, so that's really good. But and then I'd probably say the one other thing that I'd like to see a lot more work on is your awareness, as you don't really pay attention to what's going on around you too much, right? You don't pay attention to your health bar. You're not paying attention to your flankers, right? People who are on your sides, like Hanzo was multiple times. So make sure that you're keeping your ears open when you know that they have people who are going to flank you. Make sure you're placing your Venomine more often. Make sure you're looking left and right. Make sure that and even behind you sometimes, right? Pay attention to where your team's at so you can sync up with your team, because you don't want to be pushing in without your team. Oh, okay, already? That kind of makes sense for the. Do you have any questions about anything that we went over with Widow?
Not really, but yeah, for the other clip, I did use my Venomines a lot. So
All right. Okay, so now we can move on to Feared.
With every death comes honor. With honor.
Ready for battle.
Hello there. Greetings.
5, 4, 3.
Just since it's been a while, just double checking you're there, Devil's High, right?
Yeah, I'm here.
Alrighty.
1. Attackers incoming. Escort the payload. Please move behind the barrier.
I require assistance. A touch from afar.
Alrighty, so already I think I'm already seeing pretty much the exact same thing we were doing on Widowmaker, except for on Hanzo this time. So on Hanzo, you very much similarly have a charge up time too, right? If we fire just with half a shot, look how much damage we're doing, right? We're not charging up our shot, and therefore we're doing a lot less damage. Whereas if we do a full charge shot, we do more damage. Now I have a my crosshair doesn't really show this, but you can actually, I think the basic crosshair will show you, or let's see if I turn on show accuracy, will that do anything? No, it doesn't. All right. Trying to make this basic. I don't want to change it, but whatever. The default crosshair should have kind of a circle that closes in on itself, and that will tell you when it's fully charged, right? When the bow's fully drawn back. And then when we're firing like this, we're one-shotting people rather than multi-shotting them, right? And hitting them with a bunch of tiny shots, which aren't really doing a whole lot. Even because when we're shooting here, we're kind of charging up like halfway, right? And you want to make sure that we're charging up all the way. So I'd encourage you to, again, just like with the Widowmaker, come into the training range, test it out, make sure that you're kind of learning the timing, so that when we're shooting at stuff that we're fully charging it up. I've been playing this game for thousands of hours, so I don't need the default crosshair anymore for the timing, but that can be very helpful for knowing when your shot is fully charged. So pay attention to when that circle closes in on the center, and then that'll let you know when the shot is fully charged. You can also see it if you kind of look at the bottom of the screen. You can see when you're fully drawn back, right? You'll kind of steady up with the crossbow, or the bow there. So make sure that you're fully charged, you have it fully drawn back, and then we can fire. And that way we're hitting, one shots, right? Or right, even if we hit body shots, we can do that with 2 shots. Whereas if we're just half-shotting this. Right, it takes multiple shots. Right, so we want to make sure that we're the majority of the time, unless somebody's like 1 HP, we're gonna go for these full charge shots. Now, if somebody's like that, and we can just add in a real quick, uncharged shot, right? Because that uncharged shot can kill them when they're low, right? If we get them like that, right, we can add in an uncharged shot because that will be able to kill them, right? But if they're full HP, we want to start off with the full charge shot. And then all the same crosshair placement principles are still going to apply on Hanzo, right? Make sure you're keeping your crosshair on head level, and then that's going to make it easy for us to hit shots.
Yeah.
So you can see here how we just kind of we're not really fully charging those shots.
A touch from afar.
See here, sorry, I'm gonna take one more look at that.
I require
So you can also see here when we're firing this off, let's look at our crosshair in proportion to people, right? Want to make sure we're aiming at head level, right? We're kind of aiming a little too high right now. Alrighty, so on Hanzo, I'd like to see you push up a little bit closer. So Hanzo is classified as a sniper, but I would say he's more accurately a mid-range character. He plays more similarly to McCree than a Widowmaker, as it's very difficult because he doesn't zoom in, he doesn't have any slowed sensitivity for him to hit super long range shots. So rather than sitting at this range, I would like to see us more towards where like Moya or Zenyatta is, not out in the open, but more at a closer medium range to people than sitting this far back, as we do sit a little bit further back in that fight. Alrighty. So for both of you, I think this is something that I was debating whether or not I should go over, but I think this would be very helpful for just both of you to know is how to read kill feed and to know when you're winning and losing fights. So essentially, when you guys have one kill, right? You get one pick, that means that you're at an advantage, or 1 to 2 picks, sorry. 1 to 2 picks, that's an advantage. Okay, that means that you can be more aggressive and look to get in their face more, take a little bit more space, take more aggressive angles, and with your positioning, you can get more aggressive. Now, when you're up 2 to 3 people, that is where you have won the fight. You've pretty much most of the time around. Now there are a ton of exceptions, right? When there's a ton of ultimates being used, when there's going to be a lot of the times where that will not be applicable. But in most scenarios, when you're up 2 to 3 people, that's going to be a one fight, right? So when we win a fight, we play super aggressive, right? That way, here, for example, right? This is a one fight. Right now, it is a 1-2 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? It's 2v6. And Baby even only counts as half a person anyways. So in this scenario, we have very solidly won this fight. So we should be looking to play super aggressive so that we can look to, sorry, I got a call. So we can look to kill these people, right? And stagger them and finish off the kills, right? And besides that, we don't want to be looking to use ultimates in in one fights. And then this also goes the exact opposite way. And that's where No Name, had gotten into a predicament in the when we watched this in the middle of the game. When you are down 1 to 2 people, that means that you are at a disadvantage. You didn't lose the fight yet, but you are losing the fight, right? So you need to play a little bit more passive, right? And you're just waiting till you get a re-pick, right? You're waiting until you have a way to get back into the fight. Now, if you're down 2 to 3 people, most of the time that's going to be a lost fight. That means that you want to be looking to get out or escape if you can. And if you can't escape, then you want to let them kill you. Otherwise, you're going to risk staggering yourself. And if we stagger ourselves like we discussed before, that's usually not going to be very good, because then our team's going in without us, or we're wasting time, right? So staggering yourself is never going to be good. Now, also in a losing fight, you don't want to use your ultimate. So in the scenario when both of us know that we've won this fight, we want to be very, very aggressively pushing the D.Va and the Reaper so that we don't let them get out.
Is that the best you can do?
My will made real.
Ooh, very nice shots. Now that half charge shot does is okay, right? Because he was low there, so good pay attention to the health bars.
I think my game like froze there for a bit.
Already. Yeah, big problem right now is just our half charge shots. Very rarely will you see, like if you watched a professional gameplay or anything like that, you're very rarely going to see half charge shots. Most of the time you're going to want to full charge shots because that allows for one shots and just more damage. And for both of you, right, when we're doing full charge shots, that means that we can, there's kind of less shots that we have to worry about hitting, right? When we're firing off a ton of shots, right? Shoot, right? That means that we have to concentrate on every single tiny little shot, and it takes a lot more pressure and makes us concentrate more on our aim. But when we're shooting less often, but having more impact in that shot, then that allows us to concentrate on other things like our positioning, our awareness, that allows us to do better and it allows us to concentrate on that single shot more. So we really want to be looking for those full charge shots if at all possible. Alrighty, so here when we're dueling this Hanzo again, I haven't seen ability used yet. Hanzo's abilities are much more impactful than Widow's abilities usually, or especially Venomine, right? Sonic Arrow here, right? Let's say we Sonic the Hanzo, right? We shoot a Sonic Arrow at him. That means that we know when he's peeking, and we can time for when he's about to turn the corner, right? And that makes the shot a lot easier to hit. So make sure we're looking to use our Sonic Arrow here, and that can make it easier to know where they're going. It can make it easier to shoot at them. And then, as well, with our Storm Arrows, we can look to use our Storm Arrows to burst down targets who have a ton of HP. So tanks, for example, we can look to use it to finish off targets easier and burn down shields as well. Right? But I have not seen Storm Arrow used yet, which Storm Arrows probably you're gonna want to use Storm Arrow and your Sonic Arrow very, very frequently. Most of the time, you're gonna want to use those abilities pretty much every time you get them, right? Look for a situation to use it every time you get them. It's like same thing with Venomine, right? You're looking to use it off of cooldown every time you get them. Now you don't just spam it to where you're using it not in a terrible time, but like an example like this, right, where they're running underneath, fire Storm Arrow in there because you don't know, are they going all the way around? Are they just gonna come down here, wait a second, and then come back out? Right? Us firing a Sonic Arrow in there allows us to know where they're at and gives us much better time kind of getting them. All right, so with your dragons, two things. First off, attempt to do it from a little bit closer, right? When we're doing it from far away, that makes it so that they have more time to react to it. Second thing is make sure that we're looking to use it behind walls. So your dragon can travel through walls. So for example, if we do it right here, this does two big things for us. First off, when you're dragoning, you stand still, right? So if we're dragoning from here, we're not in danger of dying, right? If we're standing still in the open, that makes it very easy for people to shoot us, and that's not gonna be very good for us. So this makes it so that we're a lot safer because we're behind cover. And the second thing is now they have no clue where this dragon is going, right? Because we're behind the wall, they don't know where the dragon is gonna go. If we're dragoning out in the open like this, they all see the dragon coming and they can react to it and dodge out of the way. So if we're dragging from behind the wall, they have less reaction time, right? And it makes it so they can't react as well. Thirdly, right, third major thing is we want to look to dragon behind people because instinctively, whenever somebody hears a dragon, they're going to look to back up, right? So if we fire a dragon behind them, we're more likely to hit them. Now, what we can look to do to make that easier on ourselves is we can look to fire a Sonic before we track in, and then that way we can see where everyone's at, right? So even if they're behind walls, like I said, it's gonna be tough to. I'm gonna get my dragon up real quick here. It's gonna be difficult to line it up if you have no clue where people are, but if we use our Sonic arrow, we can see where people are even through walls. So that's gonna make it easy for us to see people. So for example here, right, we fire a Sonic arrow, that way we can see people. And of course none of them walked into it right there, now we can see people, and then we can fire off a dragon through the wall, kind of in the direction that we see that they're walking. Right, with your Storm Arrow, make sure we're looking to use it pretty frequently because that's going to allow us to burn down people pretty fast, especially on shields and tanks. But we can also look to use it to, for example, let's say we land a half charge shot or we hit somebody with a body shot, right? We can quickly follow that up with a Storm Arrow and kill them much faster than if we try to charge up another shot, right? So Storm Arrow is going to be a very fast way to finish off kills. Good way to burn down shields because it does a whole lot of damage very fast. So again, oh, why is it saying? For some reason I just got the notification that I'm coaching you guys, but look, like if we hit a body shot, we can quickly follow that up with a Storm Arrow, and that'll allow us to kill them much faster.
Arriving at watch point Gibraltar. Ready for battle.
Was that here? No. All right, we went too far forward.
I think it was.
It was right here, I think.
Yeah, it was around here. I'm pretty sure.
Yep. Probably say one of the most major things from you two I'd like to see is just the half charge shots. That's a big thing that's gonna, for both of you, that's gonna impact a lot of your gameplay. Ready? Look to maybe not stand so close to the fight. Like I said, you're a mid-range character. Here we kind of get right up in the midst of things, right? Look how close we get to the fight. That puts us in a whole lot of danger. The other thing I like to see you do is take some positioning up on high grounds, just like No Name here. And on Hanzo, you can climb up to those high grounds very easily. So look to position up on high grounds. High grounds are going to be very useful. So it does multiple things for you. First off, you have a fantastic angle to where you have a ton of visibility to shoot at a ton of things. Okay. Second thing is you have a ton of survivability when you're up on a high ground, okay, because it cuts down on the amount of people that can get to you. So Brig can't get up the high ground, Reinhardt can't get up the high ground super easily, right? And then the people who can get up the high ground, it requires they use abilities, right? D.Va has to boost up at you, Reaper has to teleport up to you, so it baits out cooldowns, and it takes some time, right? So a lot of characters can't get up the high grounds easily, so whenever we can take high grounds, it's going to be very good. Now, the third thing here is that all high grounds acts as cover because, for example, let's say, they can see us, we can now back up away from the high ground, and now they can't see us, right? So all high grounds act as cover because we can back up away from the ledge and they can no longer see us. The same way that we can do the same thing with a wall, right? We move to the left, they can't see us. So when we're positioning ourselves, right? Good positioning is the usage of cover, whereas bad positioning is the absence of cover. If we're standing right here, we're very far out in the open, and everybody can see us, everyone can shoot at us. Whereas if we're standing, closer to over here, we can duck behind this corner right here whenever we start getting shot at. So we want to make sure that we're looking to stand next to cover so that we have the option to get behind it at a moment's notice. So here we just kind of get way too close to the fight, and that makes it super easy for them to run at us. Okay, again, haven't used abilities yet. Right, big thing. We're going 3 minutes without using abilities. Or let's say the first minute didn't count because that's the it counts you while you're in spawn. 2 minutes without using abilities. I can't remember how long the cooldown times are. Oof, I don't even remember.
Both like 10 or 5 seconds.
10 or 5 seconds, right? 10. Yeah, they're definitely not 5 seconds, but let's say they're 10 seconds. I think they might be longer. Let's just say like 12 seconds, right? 2 minutes is or 60 so 120 seconds, right? So 120 divided by 12, right? So you could have had 10 of both of them, right, in that time. So we really gotta be looking for situations to use them because we're gonna be getting a lot more value. So this is a situation where No Name could have potentially staggered himself. Now, um, just because a mistake is not punished does not mean it's not a mistake, right? Let's say you guys are one. Have you guys placed SR wise yet?
Um, I did. I did as tank though, as Winston, not yet
Mm.
as Widow, because I don't think I'm like ready. I want to get a bit better
Uh,
and then start doing cover.
that's a good idea. So what was that rank?
I had like 1700 with tank, and I was playing with my
Mm.
friends, so I lost a few games, but I won like two. I lost 3-1
All
too. I
right.
was like,
Well, let's say that we're playing at gold, right? Or we're playing at platinum. Well, then people might pay a little bit more attention and they might actually come up, like for example, the diva might fly up at you and try to shoot you, right? Because she'll have more awareness and she'll know what's going on around her. So she sees a 1 HP Widowmaker who's out of position and she flies up and kills you. So if we're at those ranks, we're not going to be able to get away with this mistake. So we want to be playing as if we're at a higher rank because we're never going to get out, or we're never going to improve or get out of our bad games or our rank if we're not playing as if we were higher. So feared as well, you're pushing a little bit aggressively when your team's not fully back yet. Look, two people are still walking back. You still have a diva in spawn, right? And then we're kind of really far forward here, so pay attention to your team as well. Right here, we do back up, so that's really good. It just came a little bit late. Alrighty, good job getting behind cover with that. Look to use your, again, Storm Arrow. Look to use Sonics. It probably says that's a humongous thing that I would like to see you is use your abilities. Hanzo has a lot of utility that he gets out of his abilities. I can't even really critique you on how you're using them yet, just because we're not even using them in the first place. Yep. I would strongly encourage you to go and just watch a good Hanzo player and to pay attention to how does he shoot? Does he charge up his shots? And then how does he use his abilities, right? Because so far, and then that can give you a better sense of when should we be looking to use our Storm Arrow. Oh, good melee. I like that we went for that melee when they were low HP. That's very good, a good habit to be in. Hey, good dragon. Okay, half charge shots, no abilities. Right. We've used our ultimates more often than those abilities. Really good mechanics though, right? Just in general, just like your buddy here. You honestly both struggle with very similar things. You have very good just basic mechanics, and you have your crosshair on things very easily, and you hit shots. It's just that again, you don't have the crosshair placement where you're hitting headshots. You aren't fully charging those shots, so they're doing less, and you just haven't used your abilities yet. So all those things are going to be very, very major impediments, right? They're going to make sure that. Sorry, let me use a better word. They're going to be big, big problems that aren't going to let you get better if we're not addressing them or fixing them.
I got it.
Yeah.
Yay, we used the ability. Okay, here we probably want to look to be on a high ground. Okay, I like the aggression. We are up to 2.5 people right now because we got the diva out of mech. And then we got 2 picks, so we are very heavily winning this fight. But then Reaper comes back and swings it, so got to be aware of our surroundings, and then on top of that, maybe be on a high ground rather than on the low ground. See, like, you hit those headshots, it's just that, like, it's not one-shotting because we don't fully charge it. Good dragon. Your dragons have very good placement. You're placing it, you know, where you're using it to where, like, they're in a corridor, right? They can't run away from it. So that's really good timing on it. Nope, unfortunately, we kind of walk into that one. Let's get forward a little too far, I think. Good shots.
The payload has reached
Get into position.
Easy.
Okay, make sure we're not trying. We're paying attention to where the Reinhardt's at, and we're not leaping towards those people of closer range abilities, right? We see Reinhardt, we kind of walk towards him, right?
Yeah, I should have used the I don't know, it's the spam arrow. I don't know what's
the
really called.
the storm arrow, and then you could leap backwards, right? Here we kind of leap towards more enemies, right? We leap towards the diva. The other thing to keep in mind is we can look to wall climb away from him. You're aware of how to use your wall climb, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just make sure we're looking to use that more often, because we can look to use that to get up to high grounds, and the high grounds are going to be a lot safer, right? Reinhardt really can't get to us if we're on a high ground.
Excuse me. There is nowhere to hide.
Help me.
The enemy is here.
This will restore you.
Good mechanics.
Oh, that was nice.
Very, very nice.
Thank you.
The power of destruction.
Okay, here we step a little close to the fight. We should also probably be looking for dragon right about now, right? We don't want to hold on to it for too long.
Now watching that, I should have used dragon there.
No, yep. All right. So I want to give time, and it seems like it's kind of the same basic things, kind of repeat on repeat. And I want to give some time to go over a quick review here. So kind of to review all the different areas, all right, all aspects of your gameplay. I think your leap usage is pretty decent. I don't think you've used a single sonic arrow, so keep in mind that is a very powerful ability, because you can look to use it when we can look to use it to predict when people are coming around corners. And this applies the same thing to Venomine, right? If we use Sonic Arrow here, oh, that's the wrong character. Right. We use Sonic Arrow, or we place it right there. Alright, we see when he's coming around the corner, we can headshot him a lot easier, because he just kind of walks into our crosshair, right? So when we want to make sure we're looking to use our Sonic Arrow, and that'll allow us to see where people are coming from. Look to use your Storm Arrow, because that's going to be very useful, right? So, now on top of that, your Dragon usage is actually pretty decent. You have good timing on it. Probably, all those things that I mentioned before. Make sure you're behind the walls. Make sure you're doing it behind them. But you did have pretty good placement after the first one. You did have good placement on the second and third. with your, I don't think you didn't have the same problem with the watching your health, but make sure you again you still have awareness of what's going on around you. I don't think it was as bad as no names. You do have pretty decent awareness. Positioning, make sure you're on high grounds much more often, and you're looking to stand next to cover rather than away from cover. And big major thing is just make sure you're looking to fully charge your shots, because you're gonna be doing a whole lot more if you're fully charging those shots than if you're half charging them. And make sure you're also aiming at head level. Now, you do also have very decent mechanics, right? Same thing as no name. You do have good mechanics, and you are able to keep your crosshair on people. It's just pretty inconsistent because we're doing inconsistent damage because we're not fully charging it. And on top of that, we're going to not be hitting as many headshots if we're not aiming at head level. Now, you can see as well when we fully charge versus when we half charge, there's more of an arc. Or it kind of is harder to hit these shots because it's more of a projectile, right? But the more we charge it, it becomes pretty much an instant shot, right? It's still a projectile, but it's like
Weakening.
going super fast to where we can pretty much look at their heads here, right? So a lot of the time, unless we're super far away from them, we can just aim straight at their heads and still be hitting them, right? Or aim just a little bit ahead of their heads, right? But if we're just half charging it, charging it, then it's going a lot slower. It's gonna be a lot more difficult to hit people, right? Alrighty, so do either one of, or I guess like first off, Devil's Eye, but if no name had any questions either, do either of you have any questions about anything that we've gone over?
Not really.
Do you say something, Devil's Eye?
I said the same thing as no name. Not really.
Alrighty. Well, then I'm going to end the recording.